The juice is loose. Hi, welcome to Film Stash. My name's Douglas Campbell, and today we are talking about Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
The Dietz family returns home to Winter River after an unexpected family tragedy. Still haunted by Beetlejuice, Lydia's, played by Winona Ryder, life gets turned upside down when her rebellious teenage daughter, played by Jenna Ortega, goes through her own adventure and discovers a mysterious portal to the afterlife. When Beetlejuice's name is said 3 times, the mischievous demon, played by Michael Keaton, gleefully returns with a vengeance to unleash his brand of mayhem. So as you can tell from last week's review, I've never really been nostalgic for the original Beetlejuice, having not grown up on it, of course. But I recognize the beauty behind Tim Burton's creativity, the designs, the practical effects, and of course Michael Keaton's performance. Like, all those combined created truly a whirlwind of a movie, even if I wasn't as fully crazy about it. So before we got the movie that we're going to be discussing today, in the 90s, there was a script written for a Beetlejuice sequel. It was entitled Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, and it followed the Dietz as they moved to Hawaii to build a vacation resort. And of course, the resort land that they've selected, it's built on an ancient burial ground. And of course, Beetlejuice, I don't know the details of how he follows them, he just follows them. He accidentally awakens the native spirits, and all hell goes loose. So the script was ready, and Tim Burton and Michael Keaton, they wanted to work on the Beetlejuice sequel, but they also wanted to work on the Batman sequel that he did prior. And of course, Warner Brothers, they kind of compared the projects, they kind of looked at them both. Comparably, they looked at it and it was like, Batman made more money. Can you work on Batman? Can you do that? And as we know it, history is as it is today. I thought it was a pretty interesting tidbit for a sequel that never went through, because it is gimmicky, but that gimmickiness I think could have worked for a Beetlejuice sequel with Burton's creativity in the 90s. If you definitely want to check out the full story, the link is in the description here below. So fast forward almost 40 years later, and a Beetlejuice sequel is finally out into the world. I've been cautiously optimistic over how Burton would handle this world nearly 40 years later, and with so many changes from the cast and just everything. To keep this in short before expanding on it, there were a few flaws, but I think if you liked the 88 original, you definitely, I think, will have quite a bit of fun with Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
I hope you're enjoying this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Any support will be greatly appreciated. And now, back to the stash.
Let's get into the positives here. So, obviously, like with the previous movie, the biggest positive is Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. Now, whenever I saw that initial teaser trailer, I think we all know the one I'm talking about. They were building it up. You saw the model town rippling as Beetlejuice got summoned. And he's rising up. And he says, "The juice is loose." But he said it in kind of a weird way. Like, from just the one line, it wasn't a good first impression. It almost sounded like he was half-heartedly saying it. Or like, it was just a bad take. Thankfully, he still fits this role really well. So obviously quite a bit of time has passed, and the role and how he plays it, it's a little more restrained compared to how he played it in the original Beetlejuice, because he is an older man. But he hasn't lost that spark of the character, which I think is the most important thing. It has maintained the look of the original film, but it did have creative expansions that stayed true to the tone of the original, but at the same time was kind of a fun expansion. There are still hilarious gags for how the people died, and it was fun like spotting that in the background of scenes. There are even like fun little cameos in the film, and a standout supporting character being Willem Dafoe. He is the type of quirky character that these movies need, and it was fun watching him every time he popped up. Now, the movie, in terms of its set and its special effects, they were mostly practical, and it's so weird saying this, but it is refreshing to see things that are actually on the screen and that the actors are actually getting involved with. The few CG elements that they did have, I feel like they were used pretty sparingly. It made sense to have them for some of the things they were doing because you couldn't have done that with practical effects. The nostalgia itself, it is heavily employed like a lot of these movies post Force Awakens, but I feel like this film, it was able to carve out its own identity compared to the original film. Maybe it's because they were forced to since so much has changed from the original film to now, but it was nice to see it not be a complete carbon copy of the original. So once we get to the world of the dead and the film just stays there, I think the movie picks up tremendously and just stays consistently fun. It builds up to this ending that is just so much fun. Honestly, I think it kind of outdoes the original ending. It just builds up to this high point that just, it made me leave the theater with such a smile on my face. Going into the mixed, like with the original film, I still had the same issue where with most of the main characters, they were fine, but I didn't really care that much about anybody, of course, other than Beetlejuice. The film, it tried to add more drama and conflict to the original characters, but I don't think the main conflict between Winona Ryder and Jenna Ortega's character was really that interesting, or at least how they portrayed it, it just didn't completely work for me. And the thing is, like, I get what they were trying to do with it. They were trying to create sort of a similar rift that Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara had. But this time, you spin it on its head, to where this time it is a mother-daughter relationship. And having the daughter not believe in ghosts over, like, a tragic event within the family. That is an interesting idea, especially for a film like this. The problem is with this, even though the performances from Winona Ryder and Jenna Ortega were fine, I just feel like so much happens within the first act that it wasn't given enough time in order for that conflict to be fully presented on the screen in a way that just didn't feel like yet another thing that this film is giving you. Because if you're trying to do a mother-daughter drama before you ultimately get to the afterlife shenanigans and then all the other stuff on top of it, it just feels a bit too much.
Oh, do you know what that means? That means it's time for intermission, baby.
And today, we're going to be trying the Fanta Haunted Apple Soda. Hey, you guys, you want to do a review?
Sure.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, perfect.
Who are you?
All right, let's try it. Who has, like, the nails, the long nails? Samarthas?
Totally picking up.
Down the hatch.
Wait. Why don't we like do little glasses? Yeah.
All right, sure. Grab some shot glasses then.
That was really good.
You could hear.
Around in here. Ooh.
That is an aggressive green. The camera probably won't pick up like how like
It just looks like Nickelodeon slime.
Yeah.
It's Beetlejuice green, I mean.
But it's impressive in a liquid. Why does it taste like
It's
Christmas?
so sweet.
Huh.
it's supposed to be caramel apple.
It's a haunted apple.
Oh.
Oh,
I'm picking up on that haunted.
haunted with sugar that's been killed via heat.
This
It's
tastes.
very sweet.
It's actually really good.
It tastes like a Christmas candle.
Yeah, that's
I
honestly
feel
that's
Yeah.
Christmas
pretty
candles.
good.
Imagine
Okay,
It is
guys,
so
guys,
good.
stop.
This is delicious.
You can only do that for one
What would
review,
you rate it, guys?
probably
Like,
1 out of 10.
Yeah, like one and a
I know,
half to
it's-
2 out of 10.
It's good, like maybe like a 2.
There's something very specific that this tastes like, but I feel like I can't say it.
No, what do you think it tastes like?
You're gonna have to bleep out their name. This
Okay.
tastes like house smelled.
This tastes like a Yankee Candle hazelnut candle.
Honestly, I kind of like it more now that I've made that connection.
Like, hey, thought of you. Haunted apple Fanta.
I don't know, that's like a 7 out of 10. I
That's
think
pretty
it's
good.
okay.
I don't
Like,
think I would drink it on like a normal day.
Same
no,
here.
Yeah.
but
like, if you repackage this for the holidays, Fanta, I mean, there you go.
make this a Christmas one.
Yeah.
If you didn't have Sprite Cranberry, you know what? No, do
Get
that.
rid of
do
Sprite
that.
Cranberry.
No. Keep Sprite Cranberry. Do this on top of it.
I don't know if this would taste good mixed with Sprite Cranberry.
Coming soon in Christmas. Which then goes to my negatives here. Film takes way too long to get to the afterlife shenanigans. Here's the thing. I understand that the dynamic of this movie, it's very different compared to the original movie. A lot of time has passed between films, not every actor's returned, and this time around, instead of focusing on dead characters that are going through the afterlife, you're now focusing on living characters who don't really get that opportunity to explore the afterlife a bit more. But if we compare how much time that it took for the original Beetlejuice to get to the land of the dead versus this movie, it is such a long gap before we get to the fun stuff. Now, granted, I'm not that little kid that's just looking at it and it's like, where's the firework factory?
When are they gonna get to the fireworks factory?
And I understand that you gotta build up your characters here, but the main conflict, I feel, just wasn't interesting enough. So there's this long stretch of time where I'm just kind of getting a little bored before Michael Keaton pops back up again. The original movie, in terms of the plot, even though I don't think there was that much of a plot there with the original, but they balanced their time very well between the Waitlands and the Dietzes and how their stories interacted with each other. But really, like, if you were to break down this story, just break it down by the bits of what's there, there is way too much going on. You have Winona Ryder's story with her character. You have Jenna Ortega's story. You have Willem Dafoe's little side arc. You have Beetlejuice's antics. You have the stuff with Beetlejuice's workers. You have the stuff with Beetlejuice's ex and the stuff that she's doing. The shenanigans going on with Lydia Dietz. You even have the shenanigans going on with the now dead Charles Dietz. You have all this stuff kind of combined, fighting for screen time, and it is so stuffed that it just doesn't work as a satisfying film on its own. It's too much. It's too much. Truthfully, this movie, I feel like it could have used another draft. They could have kept the film generally the same, but if you edited a significant chunk out of it, I think it would have flowed a lot better. Could have condensed the funeral, maybe have it at the beginning. Don't have a weird catch-up of where everybody is, or maybe do a catch-up with just one person. Cut most of Beetlejuice's ex from the movie. Find a way to get to the afterlife sooner and have it be there a little longer. Just tighten up the general relationship with Ryder and Ortega, and I think you would have had a better movie, really. In the end, despite there being a lot of clashing storylines happening all at once, I do think that Tim Burton, he does have a bit of creative juices still left in the tank. With how the last half of the film kind of won me over, I wouldn't mind a third Beetlejuice, really. But I would give this film a 6.5 out of 10. It was alright, but really once they get to the afterlife, that was the movie. Plus, with how you titled this movie, the completionist in me, I want to see a Beetlejuice film that follows through on the Beetlejuice thing. So for this film recommendation, I do want to recommend a very underrated Tim Burton film. It kind of touches on the themes that this movie was attempting to explore with the relationship between a child and their parent that's sort of flawed. But there's this movie I grew up with called Big Fish. It explores the relationship between a dying father and his son, and it is truly, truly beautiful. I think it's one of my favorite Burton films. There is the quirkiness that Tim Burton is known for, but I think you wouldn't have been able to know that it was a Tim Burton film with how it's done. But check it out. Well, that's all the time we have for today here at Film Stash. My name is Douglas Campbell, and if you excuse me,
I gotta add to the stash. Hubba-da, 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 hubba-da.